Disclaimer! Crossing the Line is not a show intended to bully or harass anyone. Do not go out of your way to find or mess with the authors featured on our podcast. They make what we do possible, and we love them. And you. Thanks. Enjoy. Stephen, what is your gravest sin that you've never told me, buddy?
My gravest sin that I've never told anybody. I'm glad that you think I just say that because you asked. Gravest sin. Yeah. One of my old friends in Tennessee, he had like a porn collection. And one time, when I was young, because I was around, I think 11 when this was going on, I took one of the pages and whatnot, and I spooged in it, and I left it in his dresser, and I
Hello, everybody! Welcome to Crossing the Line, a fanfiction podcast where we read, review, and critique some exciting fanfiction, all for your listening pleasure. Today, I'm joined, as always, by our lovely cohorts, Elias.
Hi.
And Steve Areno, who is here live in the booth for the very first time.
He thought his dad did it. He asked his dad, Ryan. He asked his dad while he was spending the night over there, and his dad hit him for saying it. He will never know.
I hit him too. You can't ask that.
Dad, what'd you?
Daddy, did you spooge in my book?
No!
It did go something like that.
Were you scared? Did you leave?
All I heard was, Dad, why'd you sperm in my book? And he was like, what the hell? You get in here! And then I just heard him screaming.
Like on the Christmas Story when the one mom's beating the bully over the phone?
Exactly like that.
I have a similar story. Now that you bring that up. Once upon a time, I had a best friend for a period of time where I lived somewhere. I moved quite a lot between the ages of like 9 and 15. And at this time, I lived next to somebody who was living with his sister, and his sister had a very British boyfriend, and he was like cool for 2009 or whatever, where he had like a fedora and like a checkered vest, and like he had a British accent and like scene blonde black hair. And anyways, we thought he was really cool because we were like 10 or something. We're like, wow, this guy's cool. And when he left back to Britain after he knocked up the sister and didn't stay with her, as cool British guys do, it would seem, he left us a scavenger hunt, sort of, and it was like a series of puzzles and riddles to like find this thing, and it was like, go look outside, go look in your like drawer, go look in like... Leaving alone that this man hid things in this boy's room, which in retrospect is very creepy. It led us to a stash of porn that had been stuffed underneath his collection of Nerf guns in his dresser. And it was under his like Nerf guns. And we're just like, I don't know like how well we could have processed this being like 10, but we were just like, oh hell yeah. Very excited about it. And so I was like, dude, it's at your house. You gotta let me borrow it for the first night. And he's like, alright. I'm like, yes. And I borrowed it. And I did not give it back. I said I got confiscated. And then I kept it for a while. And then I was like, I don't want this. I'm gonna throw this away. And then it was never found. But I got shit on for a long time for that. But I just thought it was that's my only relevant story. It's just like in retrospect really creepy that this guy would like leave a scavenger hunt, like an asinine ass like 12-page scavenger hunt with a porn collection for like a 10-year-old boy. I mean, we were totally psyched about it at the time, but like, it's so weird. Like, who would do that?
These fucking Brits,
Just
man.
throw it away! Don't hide it for some boy!
As my first act of defiance against your country, I shall knock up your sister! And now, I'm going to hide some scammies into my fucking Nerf gun collection and make you go on a Legend of Zelda hunt for it!
Imagine if we didn't find the scavenger hunt first and we just happened to want to use the Nerf guns and had found this like collection of porn and like it was like barely legal DVDs and like magazines and whatever. It was just like I was like, oh cool.
Oh my god. Imagine if all those pictures were of his sister.
Yeah, imagine if the porn collection was just like a bunch of like magazines with his sister's face like cut out and pasted on every model.
That'd been a harsh thing to do to a little brother.
You thought you screwed over the sister.
Hey little buddy, come on and find this. I left you a little surprise.
I knocked up his sister,
And now I'm gonna knock up you.
And now I'm gonna make you horny too.
I'll make you spooge to your own sister. Here. Pulls a fucking crumpet out of his fedora.
I don't have any stories like that because I'm not some sort of awkward child that had any life problems like that. But I do have this brisk 50/50 tropical lemonade, so I'm gonna try that and sip on that for the whole episode. So, you like that? All right, go on.
Go on. I asked the question.
What would you say?
What's today's topic?
Oh,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
why'd you pick that one?
Because it was a cartoon we were all familiar with. And I think it's pretty ripe for picking.
That is true. There was a pretty fair amount on the crossover tags.
I think mine's from like 2004 or something.
Ooh,
Exciting.
that's a fossil.
There we go.
The earliest one I found was 2001.
Jeez, I didn't know fanfiction's been up that long.
I guess so. I'm not surprised. The UI is pretty like modernized 2001.
Oh my god, mine's from 2015. You're gonna be... I'll be curious. Is this particular crossover is with a show that is from a very long time ago, so...
Simpsons.
No.
A very long time ago, the late 80s.
WWF.
No.
Well, since you have the earliest one, how would you like to start us off today?
The earliest one? Oh, right, as in time. Let me like trying to find it. Actually, it's from 2005, which is still pretty old. I have them 2004 too. One is 355 words and one is 664. So I guess I'll go with 664.
Oh, no.
Lay it on.
But given the title, I don't know that it's gonna be very like. I guess that's a given. I don't mean to sound insulting. I'm sure it's fine.
I got you.
It opens with. Oh my god, there's really no way to dance around this one. It's in like every.
Wait. Hold on. Who's everyone's favorite turtle?
Mine changed like with each version because like every version has like a new take on everyone, and it got progressively more three-dimensional. My first from the very first, the first Turtles cartoon I got into was the 2003 one that was on Foxbox and 4Kids. In that one, my favorite was, I want to say Raphael, because Raphael was like he always hung around above ground and with Casey. Is it Casey Jones? Casey Jones.
It's true. He did the Akira slide.
Yosh, and like he did this cool thing where he like had a superhero persona almost like Batman, and I thought that was really cool because that was just made him very interesting.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I think mine's always been based on which weapons they have. I liked when I was younger. I liked Raphael because I liked the two like knife type things, and I had like a costume prop in Halloween with those. But then when I got older, I just sort of fell into the line of the bow staff. I think just like the huge staff is cool.
Yeah, totally.
And so that is Donatello, right?
Right.
So
I always liked Leonardo. I thought blue on green just looked very nice, and I always thought the swords were by far the most practical weapon out of all of them because they're just swords.
Yeah.
They're large metal blades.
That's true.
Versus like small like stabbing knives or like
Or sticks.
nunchucks or sticks generally. Yeah.
Yeah, like mine bounced back between Michelangelo and Raphael because like Michelangelo, of course, growing up, I like the energetic one, but like I also like Raphael because he's just kind of the more three-dimensional of the four for.
Oh, definitely. Like,
yeah.
I just always like Leonardo, and the 2012 show, which only so many people actually watched because it was on Nickelodeon, actually had gave Leonardo interesting characteristics and not just say like He's the leader of the bunch. You know him well.
Oh yeah, the 2012 series did a great job. I'm really gonna have to go back and watch that when I get the chance.
Mm-hmm.
While we're on the topic of recent shows, what is everyone's opinion on the reveal of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, their new cartoon?
Wow, way to date the episode, Steven.
I don't.
I'm joking. You look them up on your phone. We'll talk about it for a sec.
Okay.
Overall, they're cool. They're interesting. It's interesting to see that they're all different, like, species of turtles this time around, and it shows for once.
Oh, I've seen this art before.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's my favorite art style so far, but I want to see where they're going with that. It depends on how well, like, the animation is when it comes around, because it looks like it could be some sort of Flash Chaotix level animation, and if that's the case, I'm going to be really disappointed.
I was about to say,
but we'll see what they do with the art style.
Yeah, like I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I like the designs they picked. What I will say is, I think they should make their mouths and eyes take up the majority of the face, being as their noses are very weak in this art style. Because Raphael, they give him a lot of space between his eyes and his mouth because they want him to make him look bulkier, but I don't think that works in the favor of the art style. I think that makes him look a little off.
Well, he's like a snapper turtle, isn't he, or something?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because he has like a big mouth, right?
Ah, true.
Yeah, because I think snapper turtles like naturally have like really far eyes or something.
That's true. They do have like a longer kind of beak to them. But aside from that, I like Black April.
Yeah, she looks cool. She's like surprisingly young, but I'm sure it's for a good reason. Right.
I mean, we had April already as like a teenage girl in the 2012 series, so like it's cool that they're kind of going with that trend. I think that gives her more room to work with in terms of development. But other than that, a lot of people were actually complaining about that. And I'm just like, dude, Baxter Stockman was like white in the 2003 series and in the 90s series, but he was black in the comics.
I think he was black in the 2003.
Oh, he wasn't?
Yeah, like, he never turned into the Fly, I think, but he turned into, like, this super robot mutant or something.
I guess you're right. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was black in that one. I don't quite remember.
That was dope.
I caught some reruns recently on it, so I was, like, a while back, so I was checking that out.
I got you.
But, anyway,
okay.
Sorry to cut you off like that. I just wanted to actually talk about Turtles for a second before we just jumped into everything.
Yeah, that's
cool.
good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But,
lead us in, friend.
Okay, well, I'm not going to lead you on my other one, which is called, I guess I can't say the name, but the description is a sad conclusion to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love them, but also I love drama. Please do not think badly of me.
But also I love to end them.
It's only like 300 words, I mean. Anyways, so it was pretty juvenile to start with, but I'm gonna go anyways. Above Tubbyland one morning, the moronic babyface sun rose and giggled.
Tubbyland? What the hell's that?
Over the hills and...
No, no!
Just let me read. It's very 2004. Over the hills and far away, Teletubbies are mostly assuredly gay. Time for Teletubbies, declared a speaker as it rose out of the ground. The Teletubbies jumped out of their hill house, which is a ripoff of a hobbit hole, and began dancing around to their dorky theme song. Teletubbies, say hello, said the guy who was singing. Hey-oh, said the four pests. Then they wandered off to do something stupid like usual. Suddenly, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles appeared in a valley somewhere in Tubbyland. Whoa, what the shell happened here, said Michelangelo as he looked around.
What the shell happened here?
Okay, so I'd just like to say, I thought Tubbyland was like in the city, and I was like, aren't they in New York?
Tubbyland's in a subsidiary of New York, somewhere.
Tubbyland's inside the BBC.
Central.
All of it exists there.
It's true.
Central Park.
Just Central Park. Yeah.
Miles of green hills.
Apparently, it seems to me that there is a flux in the time-space continuum, which launched us into this children's television show, Donatello replied. In English, Donnie? Asked Leonardo. We got sucked into an episode of Teletubbies, said Don. Of all the lousy junk on TV, we had to end up in this piece of crap, demanded Raphael.
Ooh, I knew
as
that
he
was
twirled
Raph,
his
I could
sighs
tell.
in agitation.
Yeah. Ready to kill a Teletubby?
Raph, I don't think it makes any difference, said Leo. The author's will can't be determined. It's harder than trying to figure out if the Olympics are rigged.
What?
Doesn't mean you have to figure out a lot, Leo.
That's quite a statement there.
Damn. Well, just being trapped here makes me want to kill something, growled Raph.
Oh my god.
Raph's got a point, says Mikey. I
Hey,
totally...
what do you mean he has a point?
He's the party dude!
You got a point, dude. Let's fucking kill him.
As he freaking knocks Donnie's block off with his nunchuck.
You're not gonna like the next sentence very much. I'm just gonna read this as calmly as I can for verbatim. Ralph's got a point, said Mikey. I totally hate those stupid Teletubbies. They're so gay. Let's kill them. Sure, agreed Donatello. What are we waiting for? Asked Raph. The three looked at their brother, waiting to hear his reservations about killing characters from a kid's TV show. Alright guys, let's go, said Leo. Cowabunga! All four shouted as they ran off to kill the fat dorks. Tinky Winky was bouncing around while swinging his handbag in the air, proclaiming that he was a homosexual when Leonardo popped up. I'd like to preface this by saying I currently have a boyfriend, so anything I say can't be held against me.
Steven's dying!
Why are you people?
You're covering your own bases while Steven's dying?
For those of you at home who aren't aware of this, every time someone tells a good joke, I just happen to be sucking on some kind of fluid, and I end up inhaling. My fucking lungs are full of shit.
You have a big gulp and a drink next to it.
I'm thirsty.
Ayo, Ninja Turtle, said Tinky Winky to the turtle. Your days won't be so gay anymore, Teletubby, proclaimed Leonardo as he cut off a purple blah's antenna. He then stabbed Tinky Winky in the head and drew an L on Teletubby's fat gut. Tinky Winky fell over and Leonardo bowed.
I honor this kill.
To the hunt.
So gay.
Dipsy was wearing a zebra skin hat and was doing a karaoke of the Teletubby theme song.
I love Dipsy's hat.
Right.
It's cow pattern, not zebra skin.
Yeah.
Right when a bow staff smashed his karaoke set. Dipsy gasped as Donatello approached him. Sorry, weirdo, said Donatello. You won't be the next American Idol. Dipsy was knocked unconscious and the turtle beat the living shell out of him. Poe was riding their scooter through the countryside. I'd like to say that I did not have a clue into what this was going to be when I found this. I didn't expect it to be so fucking brutal.
It was 2004. It was a different time.
Yeah, this was very 2004.
What backwards fucking yokel bigot motherfucker.
Thought it'd be a good idea to sick the Ninja Turtles to murder the Teletubbies.
Well, they're gay. You won't be gay anymore.
That'll show them. Poe was riding her scooter through the countryside when she suddenly ran over a pizza box in the middle of the road. The little Teletubby... Yeah, as if that would just, be littered there instantly from
That's
their
a
presence.
turtle thing.
Yeah. The little Teletubby flew into a windmill, only to be impaled. Die, Teletubby, shouted Michelangelo as he whacked Poe with his knuckles.
Die, Teletubby!
God. After Poe was finished getting beat up, the windmill began spinning and tore her into pieces. Lala was doing aerobics on her bouncy ball when a sigh went through her head. Raphael stepped forward and repeatedly stabbed Lala. Well, we killed those freaks, said Raph. What do we do now? It's easy, said Don. After I killed Dipsy, I raided the Teletubby's house and swiped the ugly vacuum. He held up this Nunu. He held up the Nunu, N-O-O-N-O-O. I think that if we shoot it at that weird sun, we should get back to our world.
The baby?
They're gonna launch the vacuum into the sun.
No,
The
no,
baby's head.
Oh, no.
And then Mikey says, let's hope so, I need pizza. Donatello fired the Nunu at the sun. How did he do that? You got like a cannon?
Fired the Nunu at the fucking sun.
Threw it really hard.
The next sentence is, the baby let out an amused giggle as it made impact. The sun went nova and the turtle suddenly teleported back to Earth.
This is pulling shit out its ass.
The baby's son went supernova.
The windmills burned into dust and a speaker was covered in flames. Time for Tubby, die, die, it shouted before it was completely destroyed.
Oh.
The impact of one Teletubby was enough to force a star to go throughout its final life cycle.
I'd like to...
That was a young star, too.
Yeah. I'd like to read the first comment by Hermione Granger. And it says, too lazy to log on, comma. I've read this a million times and I still think this is the best story ever written on this website. Would you guys say that holds true until today?
Hermione...
You have 13 years.
I didn't know Hermione felt that way. I always thought she was a nice girl.
Hermione was maybe different in 2004.
Let's see. That was like Prisoner of Azkaban for Hermione, maybe?
Prisoner of Azkaban was like 2004 or 5, I think.
Okay. So yeah, right around there.
Yeah, because definitely...
Puberty Hermione.
Yeah, totally.
The reviews are as recent as 2013.
Steven, I want you to give me a rating based on little first year Hermione all the way to full beautiful Emma Watson year 7 last movie Hermione.
Oh, that's pretty deep. That's pretty, for the most part, it's pretty like mid-range Hermione. Like she's hitting puberty, but she hasn't gone like stoic. She's still trying, you know. But there are moments where she hits like her younger stage and she's like really hamming it up, and I really like it. That was really fun.
Yeah, that was fun.
So in short,
none of us are fucking bigots, though. Don't get the wrong idea. That was just funny.
That's generally true. I mean, Hermione used to be like having fun with being like the prick, like of the group, definitely. In like movie 2 and 3.
She was a snooty little lass, yes, so she was. And then she grew up and then got over herself.
Yeah, she did get really serious towards the end. And that's, like, reflective of her career, which I don't know if that should have, like... Well, I mean, she's supposed to be older in the movies, too, so I guess that's not really true.
Yeah.
But,
I guess it makes sense, because, like, I don't know, it makes sense, I guess. Older, less energetic, I guess. But,
I'm like having flashback. There were a lot of like Kill the Teletubbies games on Newgrounds, so I could see this being a thing.
Yeah, people wanted the Teletubbies to die for some reason. It promoted a quote-unquote gay agenda, and that was not okay, apparently.
Dude, people fucking wanted to kill a lot of things in 2004. The fucking Pokemon.
Yeah, because it was just like offensive Newgrounds humor.
Yeah,
like
the old man from Zelda. Just like there's a Teletubby skin and Virtual Buddy on Newgrounds. And it was hilarious. The Poe one. Yeah.
I gotta say, we here at Crossing the Line love all people of different shapes, sizes, backgrounds, and whatever. Send us pictures of your sweet abs, and then we'll give you a thumbs up about it. So
we'll give you a Facebook like.
We'll give you a Facebook like on our Twitter page.
Yeah.
I'll go to Facebook and I'll like print screen out the little prompt thing, and then I'll crop that down, and then post the JPEG. That like 80 by 80
to the YouTube
pixel.
To the Facebook channel we don't have yet.
Yeah.
For every app I
mean, let's be honest, fellas. Facebook is not really doing it these days. I think I'm the only one here that actively has a Facebook page, so I can say without a doubt that the reach system is an absolutely atrocious, broken mechanic.
I have to use it for a business page I run, and it's just like super clunky and like difficult to reach out to new people at any given time. Like, no.
It's definitely more of a byproduct of them trying to extend into being sort of like YouTube in a sense. And then being able to sell ad space and whatnot.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Doesn't seem like it's like fleshed out yet.
Yeah, when they so hardly press the post option where you pay for notoriety, basically, whenever you don't do that, and they just kind of shoehorn your things, especially if you're like an art page or just any sort of small like community page. They just throw all your stuff to the bottom of people's news feed, which is also kind of a broken system in general. But yeah, that ends the Facebook rant anyway.
Remember, guys, for every app that I see, I'll send you a link to the song by Glob Go Gob Glob. He is the yeast of thoughts and minds. Alright, who's next?
Hey, I think it's you, baby boy.
Alright, hell yeah.
Baby boy, Big Steve.
Baby boy, blue, come suck my dick. Let's see here.
Oh.
Alright. Once upon a time, there was a happy family. But this family wasn't a family of humans. It was a family of mutants who practiced ninjutsu and protected the city of New York from the evils of Krang.
I know who they are.
Which were evil alien brain things from Dimension X. And the Foot Clan, the sworn enemy of the Hamato clan. The family consisted of 4 ninjutsu master and rat father to 4 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, named after the 4 famous Italian Renaissance artists. Leonardo the eldest and leader, skilled in his twin katana, had grass green skin and river blue eyes. He wore a mask the same color as his eyes, as blue as a river. Raphael, the second eldest, and the muscle, wielding 2 sides, had medium green skin and bright green eyes.
You're gonna give us, like, skin tones? Are you kidding me?
And eye colors and shit. He wore a cherry red mask, making his bright green eyes almost glow.
Wow, I can really see it.
Someone is trying too hard, but I'm...
Oh, for this story, it's trying way too damn hard. The middle child and brains of the group is Donatello, whose weapon is a simple bow staff, who had moss green skin and beautiful chocolate brown eyes.
Turtle chocolate.
Can I just maybe have that? Eat it. It looks so tasty. Oh, sorry, that's your real eye.
It looks so tasty. Donnie wore a dark purple mask, the color making his eyes look even chocolatier. The youngest and most childlike of the 4, Michelangelo, master of the nunchucks, had lime green skin and baby blue eyes, surrounded by multiple freckles, making him seem younger than he really was. Their father, a giant rat named Hamato Yoshi, watched them and guided them in their training up until they turned 16 and allowed them to go up to the surface, kept them hidden, and taught them the good and bad of humanity. The aging master, whose name was Splinter, even though you just said his name was Hamato Yoshi, also had 4 daughters, but unlike his sons, a Chinese practitioner in elemental magic raised them. The 4 female Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can fight with weapons, but they preferred to fight with their respectable elements. Venus de Milo, or Mai Pei Chi, newly crowned Queen of the Universe, known as the Mistress of Water, Lady of the Moon, Warrior of the Night, was a spitting image of Leonardo, except for river blue eyes and mask.
How are they gonna top this?
She had glacier blue eyes and a light blue mask, which was long enough where she could braid the extra down her back.
And boobs.
And boobs. Her second in command and general of the Royal Guard, Lorada, held the titles of Mistress of the Flame,
This is
Lady
gonna
of
be
the
some
Sun,
like OC insert shit where it's
I'm
like
pretty sure it is.
Warrior of the Day, was also spitting image of one of the 4 other turtles, except her mask was a darker red than her male counterpart.
I can't say, I don't know everything about Ninja Turtles, but I am pretty sure Venus is the only girl Ninja Turtle, and there's a reason that she's the only girl Ninja Turtle.
There's like 2 that I know.
The poor thing. They could have done something with her, but they just made her literally the girl.
Yeah, there's one in the 80s series and then one in that live action cartoon that we saw. But
yeah, the next mutation. Watch it on Netflix, kids.
Yosh, it's a good one. I promise. Queen Venus's 3rd youngest sister, Tanlina, Donatello's female counterpart, was the Mistress of the Earth, Lady of the Forest, and Warrior of Dusk, was head of the Royal Library. And
people are getting a lot of stuff done for being sewer mutants.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I'm trying to think like if this is actually a crossover or not.
We haven't even gotten to the crossover part. Amali, Mistress of the Air, Lady of the Stars, and Warrior of the Dawn, held the position of heir to the throne, and Yuna, previous queen, acted as a royal advisor and teacher to Venus, helping her control the powers better.
They're teachers to each other, even though they're all sisters, and they also have Splinter.
They also have a female Splinter, I guess.
Yeah, like they were Splinter's, like, turtle children. That doesn't make sense, but they got raised by someone else.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll try that in a second. They all lived happily, each in their own little world. The boys living in their comfortable subterranean home, and the girls living in a cushy palace in the center of the universe, overlooking all the dimensions and time periods. Little did any of them know that one accident involving one of Donatello's inventions would plunge 4 of the 8 mutant turtles into an adventure involving 7 stranded castaways. End of part 1. On to part 2.
God, that's a lot of characters.
I wonder who the 4 that are going to be stranded are. I sure hope it's the ones I know and love, and not the OCs that you just introduced and gave a bunch of super overpowered abilities and experiences in life.
The center of the universe is where they live. My God.
In a mansion.
Part 2. In the sewers of New York City, present day. There's a quiet morning in the Hamato house. Leonardo is in the dojo working on his Tokotu before breakfast, while his younger brother Michelangelo was cooking breakfast for the unusual family, while Raphael was watching some TV, with Donatello in his lab working on something big. When the family was finished, their
He's jacking off.
On his lap, working on something big. Not the same thing.
When the family was finished, their 2 human friends, April O'Neil and Casey Jones, came in arguing about something. Yo, April! Casey, what's up?
Just came in.
Do Josh Peck. Josh Peck voices Casey then.
Yeah, I know.
April!
Yo, April! Casey! What's up? Raph said, jumping up from... It's Raph, it's not Casey.
Raph, are you okay?
Evil! Raph said, jumping up from his place on the couch to greet them. Hey, Raph! Wanna go kick some purple dragon putt? Casey asked, getting a smile from Raph. Sure, the red band answered, jogging to his room. Let me go get my stuff and I'll be right out. Sure you're not thinking about leaving when we just got here? Asked a female voice that wasn't April. The 4 of them turned to see Lorota, Amoli, and Tanlina in their mutant turtle form. And they were...
Can they just not be mutant turtles?
I guess. They were standing in the door like they were Charlie's Angels. Loretta stalked...
Yeah, just like those.
Yeah.
They were just posing in the doorway.
Just like angels.
They said, hey, what are you 2 doing over there in that chair?
Loretta stalked out of her pose and quickly tackled the hot-headed turtle, making him turn as red as his mask. Mikey gasped in surprise. A mole! He shouted in happiness as he jumped over the couch and almost tackled the young girl. They hugged and kissed since they hadn't seen each other in forever.
What? They kissed?
Yeah.
Not like that. Like the French kiss, but not like that.
Are we not talking about the sister?
Yes.
I'd like to
Like
notice that we have not gone to the actual crossover part.
Like a nice kiss on the cheek you would give a friend.
Yeah,
or loved one.
she tackled him, and then she...
I'd tackle you
Yeah.
if I hadn't seen you in a while, and I'd give you movies.
Tanlina poked her head into different rooms, finding each one to her disappointment empty. You looking for Donnie? Curiously noticed April, prompting Talina to nod, slightly sad. April smiled, her blue eyes shining with joy. He's in his lab. Excuse me, Master Splinter.
Don't come in!
Excuse me, Master Splinter, she said as she dashed past him, then realized her mistake. She turned to face the aging rat master.
He's got some good descriptors. Splinter, I think, is the one she's probably the most horny with writing this.
Oh my god.
Aging rat.
Aging rat.
Thought that sentence said aging rat monster.
This disgusting old monster.
She turned to face the aging Rabmaster, bowing deep in apology and respect. "Hello, Sensei. Good to see you again. I trust you've been well." Then she took off towards Donnie's lab, but instead of barging in, she stopped short and knocked. "Come in," a muffled voice answered. The royal librarian carefully opened the door.
Coming!
Wincing at the loud creak, which he tried to avoid, and peered into the dimly lit room. There stood a tall, handsome mutant ninja turtle with chocolate brown eyes, a missing tooth, and a beautiful purple mask. He stood over a table with a strange-looking machine in the corner, mumbling to himself about the gyroscopic of the said machine was off. He burped. Then Lena quietly crept up behind the third younger male, making him jump and almost knock down some of his glass vials. "Hey, what are you doing in here?" he asked, hugging the brainiac. Tinlea smiled, and Don was amazed at how her brown eyes sparkled like freshly polished jewel. Oh, we're just here for...
They really like eyeballs, don't they?
It's probably just like their go-to descriptor.
A beautiful, shining eyeball. It's the gateway to the soul.
I really want to
Donnie's got a thick chocolate soul. Oh!
Miss...
We're getting to the meat potatoes!
Okay, I'm gonna skip to like just before the thing about to happen, before the plot actually
Give us a
happens.
summary of what's happening.
Basically, they're just all the girls are just finding their male counterparts and being all lovey-dovey. Just like we just read, very much.
So it's like Alvin and the Chipmunks and the Chimpettes, where they're just clones of each other, but they're girls, so they're obligated to like each other.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Remember that Halloween special on Alvin and the Chipmunks when Alvin turned into the big buff monster?
Yeah.
That always made me feel uncomfortable for some reason.
What was it?
That old Halloween special on Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Oh, when he friggin' drank
He drank the potion. Yeah, he's force-fed and he like had the crazy eyes, and it just made me feel weird as a
I
child.
agree. I weirdly specifically remember that, and I have a terrible memory.
He straight up turned into the friggin' Noid, and it was really gross. And he fucking bothered like an actual celebrity boxer, and then the boxer chased him up a building. That was so fucking weird.
I'm just saying, that was like the very first time I was like genuinely like disjolted by something before.
I agree.
Like I can't even explain it. It was just weird. Anyway, go on.
Alright, so the portal suddenly started to swirl with power, turning everyone's attention to the machine. Everyone felt the power of the trans-dimensional portal, sucking everything into it, from papers to spare parts. Suddenly, the force of the sucking intensified, which made the family hold onto the table or anything that was solid for support. Venus was swept off her feet and felt herself being picked up, but thankfully grabbed the edge of the table. "Leo!" the queen shouted over the noise. Her fingers were slipping, and Leo could see that she was worried. So carefully, Leo made his way towards his crush, which was very difficult, but he made it right when she let go.
Her thick fingers.
Like those Tootsie Rolls, like the fat ones that have little indents in them?
Yeah.
Like the chunk one.
Yeah.
Oh my god. He helped her fix her grip, and the leader glanced back behind him to make sure none of his friends or family fell in while he was helping Venus. Out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere, something hit Master Splinter, causing him to lose his grip on the door frame, throwing him into the portal.
Ah, that old coot always
Is the
messing everything
Portal
up.
just like closed now. It's just like a plot device to get rid of Splinter so they could stop talking about him.
He's old and I don't like him. Old people should die.
I'm just gonna kill him.
I'm gonna kill him.
No! The family shouted as they watched their father disappear into an unknown time or dimension.
Oh well.
Venus, we have to go after him, Raph shouted over the noise. He asked her and not Leo because she was the highest ranking person there.
In the turtle hierarchy. That they all must respect and appreciate.
Hey, Splinter's gone. It's time to overthrow.
We're family no more. It's a hierarchy, bitch.
With Splinter out of the picture, he can take over.
Leo, you don't live in the middle of the universe.
You live in a hole.
She knitted her eyebrow ridge, although she didn't need to think about it. The queen nodded, determination shining in her light blue eyes. She turned to Leo, tears brimming on the edge. Leo shook his head, knowing what she was about to do. I love you, Leo. And with that, she let go, following Master Splinters. No, Venus! Shouted Leo, distressed.
They are horny for each other. What the heck?
Unknown island in the Pacific, 1965. Gilligan was happy minding his business.
Yeah! We're bringing it home, everybody!
Gilligan.
Gilligan was happy.
I'm already gonna predict what's happening. They're gonna be like, it's kind of tough living here on this island. We don't really have a lot of stuff, and it's gonna be like, Queen, being the master of everything, just had no problems. Queen is the greatest turtle, greatest female turtle form.
Raph is gonna only answer to Gilligan because he's the main character in this world.
He's at the top of the island hierarchy.
Suddenly Gilligan takes over the hierarchy. The turtle hierarchy.
Oh, geez, Skipper, I want to be a Ninja Turtle. No, Gilligan! Gilligan was happily minding his business, finally finishing his chores for the day. It was the longest day he had ever had. The chores had accumulated over the past few days due to the extremely dangerous heat wave that passed by them. So instead of continuing their daily routine, they had to sit in their huts sweating like pigs, praying that the heat would pass on.
Jeez.
And it did, disappearing all of a sudden, baffling the professor and the scientists around the world. Everyone had...
Yeah, around the world where the heat is equal.
Everyone had finished his or her chores in one day except Gilligan, who unfortunately hadn't been feeling too well to do anything. So every day he wasn't outside working, his chore list got longer and longer. After Gilligan got better, the first mate got up every day at the crack of dawn in hopes to finish his chores, but he never completed them until today.
God, what sort of extremely tasking chores has Gilligan been forced to assign himself with?
Lifting up the coconuts and putting them back down.
Sweep off the beach.
That'll keep him busy.
Skipper bangs in his tent. Gilligan, there's more sand on the beach! Ah, I'm sorry!
No matter what he did, his chore list was never complete because he had to sweep the beach.
Sleeps into its bare bedrock and goes to sleep and wakes up and it's all back.
Dude, someone stole the sand!
Oh my god, there's a Rocket Power game with the description on the back being that somebody stole all the sand from the beach. And they have to get it back.
I'd like to point out that in the screenshot there's obviously sand still on the beach.
It's just like old sand, but it's not good enough for Sammy.
Sammy wants to bring it all back by hand.
He's gonna carry it one fistful at a time to refill the beach.
Be more used to doing that than being in the series Rocket Power. Sammy, you can be back on the show when you carry all the sand back to the beach. You squid.
And he keeps doing so, but then Gilligan keeps sweeping it back off. So it's a never-ending fucking cycle.
Gilligan X Rocket Power.
He sat down on the warm sand next to the lagoon, enjoying the beautiful sunset that he wouldn't be able to enjoy if he was anywhere else in the world. Sighing and content with his life, the young first mate got up, dusted himself off with his hands, picked up his supplies, including a wicker basket of fish for supper, bananas, and his fishing pole. He walked away casually, not noticing the lagoon bubbling and smoking, changing from a clear blue to an eerie green. Gee, this fish sure is great, Marianne, Gilligan said as he continued to eat the delicious fish. The farm girl from Kansas smiled at the young sailor's compliment as she served the last few fish. Well, thank you, Gilligan, she said, taking her place next to Ginger, a Hollywood movie star. I used my great-grandmother's recipe. It's never failed me before, and I didn't expect it to.
How were Ginger's eyes?
Yeah, we don't know yet, Julie.
It weirdly switched writing styles in a way that it's not just like... Well, I guess there's no like...
They're not horny for Gilligan.
Yeah, there's no OCs to jack off anymore, so there's no YouTube.
My great-grandmother left me something as well, Ginger said, brushing her bright red hair out of her face. The entire table looked up at her. Professor Roy, Hinckley, the Howells, and the Skipper. And what's that, Ginger? Gilligan asked, falling into the movie star's trap. The best pair of twins ever, she said, winking. Gilligan just stared at her confused, but the rest of the table exploded in laughter.
Gilligan's like, I got chores to do. I gotta go.
There's a lot of sand out there, man.
I think I heard some more sand outside.
God. After a hearty dinner, the gang bid each other goodnight before retiring to their respective huts. The captain and crew of the SS Minnow climbed into their hammocks, settling down for the evening, listening to the lullaby of the cicadas. Hey, Skipper, Gilligan asked. He wanted to ask the older man a question, but he wasn't sure if he was awake or not. Skipper, are you awake? Since he couldn't wake him up without getting him searing mad, Gilligan decided to go for a quick walk around the island to clear his mind, which was going about 100 miles per hour. Sighing, he carefully walked out of his hut, grabbing his white sailor's hat off the bamboo stand. The moon was brighter and bigger than any night he'd ever seen. It was a quiet night. The only noise that penetrated night was Gilligan's feet on the soft sand. He let his feet guide him, and eventually he came to the lagoon. But something felt wrong. Instead of his reflective
There was
surface,
sand under my feet. I know I swept this today.
Instead of its reflective surface, it was fogged up with seaweed floating on the top like a milkshake with whipped cream on top. He scowled in disgust as he worked his way down to the edge of the surf, picking up a stick to poke at the seaweed that floated. Suddenly, when he lifted a bigger piece of seaweed, something rancid met his nose, making him gag in disgust. The young first mate swallowed the vomit that threatened to rise.
What could be so disgusting?
There,
giant turtle.
There, floating on a wad of seaweed like a funeral boat, laid several fish, their eyes all glassy and still. The first mate, not knowing what to do, quickly ran back into the huts, yelling all the way, "Professor!"
Dead fish in the ocean?
It's more likely than you think.
Gilligan, go back to bed.
Go sweep the sand. They won't be there if you
Are
take
your chores done, Gilligan? I want to talk to you until your chores are done.
It's 1 in the morning.
One chore.
We don't know that. We don't have clocks here. It's still, it could be, everyone's sleeping because they're done with their chores, Gilligan. You heard now. Donnie's point of view. Donnie, what the heck? Leo shouted, pacing back and forth, nibbling on his finger stubs. He just watched his girlfriend and father/master get thrown into a portal to who knows where. Venus and Master Splinter just got sucked into your trans-dimensional time continuum portal thingy. Where'd they even go, anyway? I don't know, Donnie yelled back. He went back to working on the portal with Tanlina. They'd been working on it since Venus and Splinter disappeared about 48 hours ago. They hadn't even taken a break to sleep, with April bringing them fast food, but they rarely touched their food. They were so desperate to get back, they were so desperate to get them back, they were thinking about going to Renette, but that was extremely difficult. The only reasonable explanation I can give you is the time stream knob has been destroyed, Tanlina said, a lot more calmly than Dawn. Is there a way to get them back? Well, since the machine didn't save their coordinates, there's no way of knowing where they are. And if we did know that, there's no guarantee we'd be able to get back. The remote is fried. Our only hope is waiting to see if Venus can get them back. Is Venus strong enough to rip open the time-space continuum without the stones, Mikey?
Of course she is. She's my OC.
Tanlina glanced at Molly and Laura, their faces lined with anxiety and worry. I don't know.
Oh.
Venus point of view. The young queen of the universe opened her eyes to thick, lush jungles. The fuck, man?
Queen of the universe trapped on Gilligan's Island in the damn 50s.
Stuck
in black and white.
They'll never be able to describe her eye color now. She was laying on hard stone. At the entrance of a cave sat Master Splinter. Venus groaned, rubbing her head, trying to alleviate the major headache that was starting to appear. Master Splinter's ears went back and he turned and knelt down to help her up. "Are you hurt, Venus?" he asked, handing her a small flask of water. She graciously took a sip. His flask. His socket.
He unscrewed a flask from his coat pocket. This is water.
You know you're very pretty.
Drink some water with me.
"I don't think so," she said, looking at the cave. "Where are we?" "I'm unsure. While you were out, I scouted around. There seemed to be a small settlement."
Shouldn't she kind of know stuff where things are, since she's the queen of the universe and all that?
"Not this universe, Elias. Not the Gilligan universe."
Not the universe in which Gilligan is the center.
God.
She's but a commoner here in Gilligan's hierarchy.
"What will you do for food?" she said for the first time she'd met him. Master Splinter looked unsure. He carefully hid it. "I believe I should try to scout out the rest of the area while you rest," she said. Master Splinter should dropped in exhaustion and he yawned and stretched. "I'll be back before sundown with food if I can." And with that, Venus vanished into the treetops. Marianne point of view. It was around noon and the young farm girl and Ginger were taking food down to the men. They had been there since midnight, the professor trying to figure out the mess at the lagoon. According to the scholar, the previous heat wave seemed to have ignited some sort of sulfuric rock underneath the lagoon, causing it to bubble and perpetually destroy all life in it.
It's a lagoon. Is that not the ocean, like an isolated river?
It's sort of like sort of. It's almost like a swamp lake. But
yeah, because I was thinking like Professor's like taking care of it. It's like Professor's gonna go take care of the ocean. Like rolls up his sleeve, is like, the ocean again. I'll take care of that.
You know, Gilligan, this would have been a lot easier if this beach was cleaner.
Oh, there's sand in the way, Gilligan.
He wades in the wet sand, fucking complaining. Oh, God. Causing it to bubble and perpetually destroy all life in it. Gilligan looked confused like always when the professor explained something, usually using really big words. The skipper saw this and quickly
explained... Can we go over those words and see what's big?
No.
The skipper saw this and quickly explained using simpler terms, which Gilligan nodded thanks to the old sea salt. The Howells had their noses covered in handkerchiefs, though Marianne wondered why rich people did it if it didn't do anything.
Marianne called them filthy rich people.
"Come, Luffy dear," Mr. Howell said, holding his arm out his wife took. "Let us go play some golf. I got a new puck to use."
Yeah, you guys go do that.
No puck! Miss Howell.
Fuck!
Miss Howell let Mr. Howell take her away, leaving the rest of the crew and passengers of the SS Minnow to continue with the investigation. I like how they're only fucking...
Investigation?
Their role was just to go, let's get out of here and play some golf.
It's just to account for him. You can't just not have him show up.
True. "Professor, come quick." The professor, skipper, and Gilligan dropped what they were doing and quickly ran over to the young woman, who was staring at the bush with absolute fear. "Marianne, what's wrong?" Gilligan asked, grabbing her arms to steady her. She pointed shakily to the bush, which had stopped shaking and was still as could be. The professor followed her gaze and checked behind the cluster of leaves, finding nothing except a whole bunch of weirdly shaped footprints. The scholar looked at his fellow castaways with worry for their safety shining in his eyes. "I think there might be someone on this island," was all he could say before heading back to the camp, with the others right on his heels.
How many toes do their feet have, the turtles?
3.
3?
Yeah, I got the 2 big toes and then the back foot.
Probably pretty big, too.
Oh, yeah. As an author... Author's note. Sorry for the lame dialogue at the end of the chapter. I was secretly writing this in French too while playing a game that required my full attention. I had Kahoot. Anyway, have a very good Thanksgiving break and see you soon.
Yay!
That's the end.
I gotta say, that was a weird... Because, like, They like established that it's specifically like the 2012 lore Ninja Turtles,
Yeah.
but it's with the 50s Gilligan's Island.
65.
Is that when Gilligan's Island was the thing?
50s or 60s?
1965, I think is what I said. Yeah, 65.
Yeah.
Like, I saw this and I was like, this is like this is like the most obscure thing I could have possibly found.
Somebody wrote it in French too, so they must have been like a junior or a senior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this
Really
was like
obvious.
I
recent.
had a hard-on for Turtles, but not so much Gilligan.
Yeah, I like how this is a guy who published this in 2015, writing about Gilligan's Island. Like, that's...
I liked the part when Gilligan swept up all the sand.
Me too.
Yeah, there's like this guy with his Ninja Turtles and Ninja Turtle female OCs with all beautiful eyes and all these features.
That ultimately did add much. It just fucking...
No, they never do. I mean, like, maybe some of these people might have written their, like, backstories for their OC in separate, like, chapters of their own, like, lore, but then having them in stories where that in no way affects the story, it's, like, it's
Right.
weird.
I hate, like, if you can do an OC and make them, like, subtle and well, like, written, like, that's fine, but, like, this is just so fucking
Queen of the Galaxy.
blatant.
Queen of the Library of the
Like,
Galaxy.
my
whatever.
god, no.
It's like those freaking Dragon Ball Total Drama ones all over again.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, it's
The
better
ultimate Mary Sue, gods of destruction.
At least we didn't have to sit through the introduction 5 times.
Oh my god. The intro to the episode.
Hey, Leonardo, this is the Queen of the Universe. Hey, Donatello, meet the Queen of the Universe.
That was a good one. Go check out episode 1. That one was a good one.
That was a good one. Oh my god.
Alright, we've been going for pretty good, so I'm gonna just kind of jump right into mine so we can quit talking your ears off, everybody. I do gotta say, can you... Oh, never mind, here it is. This is another one of those ones. I have to preface this. I feel like I have to say this a lot, but when we do our, when we find stuff, we don't actually read them. We go based specifically off of how funny and interesting the crossover idea is, and like what we can get from the little description or title or
Comments
whatever.
people are saying about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but we don't actually like read them ahead because it's just not as fun that way. So, yeah. Gibbs stared at the dead body lying so haphazardly on the floor, like a doll tossed aside by a little girl. Except most dolls do not have a long, deep, bleeding cut on their throats, where a sharp blade had nearly cut the head off. Suddenly, the hairs on the back of his neck stood up, skin prickling with the familiar feeling of being watched. Without moving his head, Gibbs scanned the NYC warehouse, searching for anything to indicate someone was in the warehouse. There was nothing at first glance to see, but aside from the body in a pool of blood. But things are not always as they appear. Gibbs' instincts said that someone was in the warehouse with him, someone living, and they were watching him right now. In a blur, Gibbs drew his gun and whirled around, aiming his gun at the shadows behind him. These were deep shadows, that can see. Gibbs.
Oh.
I'm not yet aware of what's going on.
You will.
Shadows that concealed and utterly engulfed things. Gibbs heard the smallest intake of air, so faint it could have been a breeze, or just imagined. But it wasn't. Gibbs was certain now. There was someone in the shadow of the crime scene, which made them at best a witness and at worst a suspect, or even a killer. Freeze! Federal agent! Come out with your hands up! Gibbs shouted. There was no response as the second dragged on. Gibbs shifted, getting into a better position to fire if need be. He felt horribly exposed, though he would deny it to his dying day if asked. There was an unknown person who Gibbs could not see, who could be armed, while Gibbs had no cover to speak of. I won't ask again, Gibbs let a hint of aggressiveness leak into his voice. Whoever this was needed to know he meant business. I can't, a voice finally said. It was a relief to finally have something tangible about this person. It was a young male, and his voice was strained. He was attempting to sound calm, but a note of desperation had come out of its way out. He was worried about simply coming into the light. Suspicious. Why not? Gibbs asked, not lowering his gun. You'd shoot me, the male stuttered, sounding very, very young. Too young.
Easy kill.
Too easy. Cocks his fucking gun line.
Gibbs frowned. How old are you? Pause. 15, sir. 16 in a few months. 15? What are you doing here, son? This is a crime scene. I didn't know. How was I supposed to? There's no tape, no police, nothing. The boy said defensively. Gibbs nodded slightly. True. So what are you doing in a warehouse in the middle of the night? Another pause, this one dragging out longer than the first. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, sir. Don't call me sir, Gibbs said automatically. Sir was his father. What should I call you? The voice asked. Tell you what. Come out of the shadows and I'll escort you home and tell you who I am. I need to ask you a few questions anyway. This was the longest pause yet. The boy was silent for over a minute. Gibbs's arms began to ache from holding his gun up so long. He could have lowered it, but the male could have been lying about his age.
His arms started to ache from how he cocked his gun so much earlier.
Lower the gun and I'll come out, the boy finally said. Why don't you come out, then I'll lower the gun, Gibbs rebutted. Lower the gun first, the boy said firmly. Why? Afraid I'll shoot you? Gibbs joked, hoping to get the boy to talk more.
Hoping to get the boy to laugh. He's like, it's not funny. I just said you're gonna shoot me, and then you said you're also gonna shoot me.
You just called me an easy kill.
And you cocked your gun 45 times. We waited in silence for this to go on.
Yes, the boy said seriously. You have a gun pointed at me, and believe it or not, I'd rather not get shot by a federal agent and end up in a lab for scientific research. Scientific research? That was an odd thing for someone to say, faces with a loaded gun. I won't shoot you, not unless you try to kill me. Gibbs waited a beat, then added, You aren't going to try to kill me, are you? No, I'm not. Unless you try to shoot me, then all bets are off, the boy said. And Gibbs found himself repressing a smirk. The kid had spunk, he'd give him that.
Oh,
standoff.
Sweeter kills.
How about this? I holster my gun and you come out with your hands in clear view. And we talk. Deal? It only took a second for the boy to agree.
How about
Deal.
This? I aim my gun and then you come out.
How about this? I aim 2 guns.
I have 2 guns behind my back and
on top of the one pointing at you using both hands.
I'll hold my hands behind my back, and if you guess which hand is holding the gun, I'll shoot you.
If you're lucky.
Gibbs slowly holstered his gun, making sure whoever was in the shadows had a clear view of his pocketed gun. He heard a deep breath, then deliberate shuffling, loud shuffling. The boy was making sure Gibbs could hear him. A vague form appeared in the shadows, a bulky figure. And then the figure stepped into the light, and Gibbs sucked in a sharp breath. He had never seen anything like what had stepped out of the shadows.
Oh, big turtle! Big turtle! Oh, turtle!
It looked like a turtle, except he stood over 5 feet tall and had a humanoid shape to him. He had green skin, 3 fingers and toes, and a shell. He wore pads on his elbows and knees, martial artist tape around his feet, hands, and forearms. He wore a belt around his shell and had 2 straps thrown over his shoulder, holding 2 swords, and wore a blue mask around his eyes. His large hands are held up in the universal gesture of peace, and his sapphire eyes are wide and pleading for Gibbs not to shoot him.
Pleading for Gibbs.
It was close. Gibbs' instinctive reaction was to reach for his gun.
To cock his gun.
Gibbs' instinctive reaction was to stop shooting, but he already discharged 2 shots. And honestly, it felt pretty good the first couple of times.
I just imagine this is like the Michael Bay turtle just coming out of the shadow. No, monster.
Oh, CG.
I'm Shrek, look.
Gibbs' instinctive reaction was to reach for his gun, but he suppressed it long enough to remember his promise to the turtle. He wasn't going to him, and he wouldn't hurt him. That was the deal. Gibbs took several breaths. Who are you? What are you? The unspoken question drifted between them. My name is Leonardo. I go by Leo and, well, I'm a mutant turtle. A teenage mutant ninja turtle. Then it just says cue NCIS theme song. So, review please and have a happy Halloween.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow. I think we got a lot out of that, a lot of mileage for what we were given there.
That was good. I liked it.
NCIS never fails, I gotta say.
Yep. I watched that episode. That was a good episode.
Just like the old 80s costumes standing in the shadow. Gibbs just...
I had to make sure you were saying Gibbs because I thought you were saying Gibby from there. I was like, what kind
Gibby
of...
inspected the body.
Gibby's sure.
Actual Noah Monk inspected the body.
Gibby grows up to be a friggin' trigger-happy cop. In a dystopian future.
I would rate that fan fiction a holstered gun out of a dead turtle because it kept my attention the whole time and it didn't need to do anything too extraneous to get my attention.
If I give it the flattest of the Ninja Turtles Michael Bay nose designs because it stayed pretty consistent.
I'll give it a solid 7 out of 10. It's good.
Wow, are we finally using a conventional rating system?
I'm only saying that because, I imagine, like you said, he pulls the gun on him and he's just, the old, huge puppet head with, the wobbly eyes. And, coming out with his, bright costume.
And those costumes look great.
His unstoppable smile. And then Gibbs just you're obviously wearing a huge fucking costume. I'm not an idiot. I'm a cop.
What? It's like the fucking Christmas episode with the gross mouth.
He just immediately pulls his gun back out and twirls it like Revolver Ocelot.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I think that's about it for tonight. So we're gonna wrap it off here. Remember, whether you're listening to one or the other, you can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud. I actually just got an email during this to say that my SoundCloud bill went through, so you're welcome, everybody. Woo! That is probably too much money to be worth it, but SoundCloud is just so much more convenient for long car trips or whatever, instead of leaving YouTube on all the time.
Very true, very true.
But other than that, you can find us on Twitter, and each of us all have our own individual Twitter links as well that will be in the description, the banner, the Crossing the Line Twitter itself. So, you guys have anything else you want to say?
If you like what we do, share it with your friends or somebody else who listens to the podcast, because at the moment we're only going off of word of mouth.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, please. And podcasts have been on the up and up, so a lot more people are starting to get into them. So we would really appreciate it if you could get your friends into this one.
Let them know we're doing fan fiction. That's kind of a unique thing. Don't just say you're watching a podcast. Say you're watching a podcast where we talk about Gilligan sweeping up an entire ocean of sand with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle crossovers and OCs. Something interesting.
Talk about the Queen of the Universe who lives in the center of the universe and is also the god of ass or whatever it is.
Beautiful brown eyes. Like chocolate.
Chocolatey.
On the subject of it, I'm going to go ahead and plug the podcast app I use. I haven't actually checked to see if we can find ourselves on here. I'm going to do that right now, actually. But I use an app called Podcast Addict, which basically pulls from a lot of other podcasting things, such as SoundCloud and other ones that I don't actually know. But that one I've found is a really convenient one to have all your podcasts in one dimension, I suppose.
Yosh.
It's been nice. It's been getting me through a lot of Critical Role and Adventure Time. Or not Adventure Time, Adventure Zone. What the heck? I gotta riot.
Gotta enroll. Gotta put your name
This
out there.
episode is sponsored by Fight the Machine featuring Spotify.
I decided to eat a ghost pepper chip about 20 minutes in, and it was a very hard thing to sit. I sneezed. You know what? I did sneeze, and that was because I ate the chip.
Right.
This podcast is sponsored by Pocky Haunted Ghost Pepper Chips and Brisk Half and Half Iced Tea Tropical Lemonade. So, thanks for checking us out. That's it. Let's go to Denny's.
Alright.
All right.
Woo.